Yeah, respect their boundaries, respect their property, that you don't disturb them, that you respect their limitations. So you're like, after 9 o'clock, I don't like answering the door. Yeah, like I used to have a neighbor that was like that. He's just an elderly man, but he's like after 9, no matter what it is, even if it's own children, like he's done for the day. He just wants to be relaxed, goes in his room, falls asleep, or whatever the case is, right? So those rules that the neighbor has established in order to maintain a level of comfort, those rules should also be respected. And the same works towards us as well. As long as those rules don't have an impact on your way of living. So if he says like, okay, every morning at 3 a.m., that's when I like to mow the lawn. And you need to respect that. No, because now you're going to cause a disturbance, not just with you, but with others as well, right? So, فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارُهُ. Another haq that they have is safety as well. So if you are able to maintain some level of safety, and we were able to experience a bit of this hadith during COVID. So you know how there was that whole toilet paper episode that went on for a few weeks, right? And people were just exchanging toilet paper currency back and forth between neighbors and other homes. So that and masks was a huge problem at one point. So you have masks, they didn't. It's their help, at least to help them keep safe and so on and so forth, that you, if you have extra of anything really, to ensure that you support them. Last one was, مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Then the Prophet ﷺ concludes, فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارُهُ, and that he should be generous to his guest. And we talked about what that generosity is. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Everyone after me. قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال للنبي عليه أوصني. قال لا تغضب. Now make this dad heavy in this word. لا تغضب. Okay. فردد مرارا قال لا تغضب. Okay. Famous hadith. Most, if not all of us, we know this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that a man came to him, or Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrates, a man came to the Messenger ﷺ. Who is this man? Do we know anything about him? No. So there's no need to ask, right? Because this is a detail. It's not said or given to us. So it's one of those things. Remember, we talked about questions that when you question things and you ask too much and it becomes unnecessary. This is one of them. Who's this man? A man, where did he come from? What color was he? Was he short? Was he tall? How old was he? All irrelevant. Doesn't matter. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, awsini, give me advice. This is a really bland translation. Awsini is not just give me any advice. Awsini is give me advice that lasts me a lifetime. Like tell me one thing that I'll never forget. That's awsini. Tell me one thing that is life-changing. One thing that is so relevant to me I can't ignore. So the Prophet ﷺ says this, لا تغضب, don't get angry. Can you imagine all of the pieces of advice you could give? I'm curious, what advice would you have given this man had he come to you and said, brother or sister, just give me some advice that I can take for a lifetime. Aside from do not get angry, what would you say? What's the first thing you would come to mind that you would advise this individual? Okay, be patient. Good. Good. Be a good person, have good akhlaq. Yeah. Anything else? Be calm. Be grateful. Try your best. Seek forgiveness when you make mistakes. Like we can literally mention a million things. All of what you said and all those million things, throw it out the window. They don't matter if you can't control this. Anger is one of the ultimate destroyers of everything and anything. Relationships, marriages. I mean, countries have even gone to war because they got upset at each other. Like something happened. The first battle of Islam happened between two tribes who owned a bunch of camels, and one tribe's camel crossed over to the property of the other tribe's camels. That was it. And it went on for weeks. So anger is no joke, and it's not something to toy with. Here's the issue, though. Just some linguistic points. The word that is used in this hadith, ghadab, ghain, dad, and ba, ghadab. This is the most severe type of anger. Ghadab is the kind of anger that you can't control, and as a result, you lose control over yourself. You break things, you punch a wall, you throw dishes on the floor. All of that behavior because of ghadab. There are other levels of anger. So for example, in Surah Ali Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that part of the qualities, some of the most important qualities of a muttaqi, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ. Kalzim is the feeling that you get before you arrive at ghadab. You know how sometimes when you're, just for like a split second, you feel like really hot inside? And you are just so angry, and you can feel that a second or two, you're just going to explode. That feeling, the adrenaline or whatever you want to call it, that fire burning in you, and then it manifests into some kind of action. You know, you say something, you do something, you react in a certain way. So everything before that is called kalz. Ghayz is the kind of anger that you don't say a word, you just see it on their face. We all see that at some point. You look at somebody, whoa, what happened to you? Why you look so upset? What happened to your face? Something they don't have to say a word. So there are several levels. This is the most extreme. Prophet ﷺ, when he chooses to give this piece of advice, it already includes everything before it. So when you start off with the most extreme, it automatically includes all of the lesser forms of ghadab or anger. Okay? La taghdab. So in other words, this translation should be more or less, do not allow yourself to lose control of your anger. So do not get angry, meaning don't lose control of your anger. Everyone gets angry, right? Did the Prophet ﷺ ever get angry? Yeah. He got angry quite a few times. What did he do when he's in the moment of his anger? What does he do? Like, how do Sahabas and how do they know he's angry? So he would remain silent, and yeah, they would see certain features on his face would start to become more and more obvious. You know, a vein would become bigger. His face would turn red. His smile would disappear. What did he used to say, or were there things that he would utter or say in the midst of his anger? I'm not talking about curing or, extinguishing the anger. I'm talking about like he's angry, and as a result, does he blurt out something? Does he say something? 100% he's never done that. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He's never done it. He's never ever lost control where he uttered something or did something as a result of his anger. Not once. We don't even have a fabricated hadith of him doing anything like that. And I think that is just truly unbelievable, subhanAllah, right? Is it possible for people like me and you, like average Muslims, to be able to have that sense of control? And I'm not, again, understand the question. We're not saying that you shouldn't be angry, but should every single one of us have the ability to at least control the anger? Yeah. So can we get to the level of the Prophet ﷺ? No, but we can get fairly close. Okay? That's the whole point. Like, don't underestimate your ability to control your anger. It can be controlled. The thing is, though, that once it reaches this level of ghadab and you're just kind of losing control, or you're shouting, or you're telling everybody, just get out of my face, I don't want to talk to you, just go, go, go. Once you get there, that's where the regret comes in. That's where the problem starts. The problem doesn't start when you have anger in you, when you get upset. The problem is that what happens to you after you get angry. So that is what all is captured in this first statement. It is such a serious problem that the Prophet ﷺ, by simply saying this statement, and by the way, this is one hadith that proves his prophethood. Because this piece of advice, when anyone hears it, oh yeah, that's good advice. Just common sense. The man asked repeatedly. He asked more than once. Some narrations say 3, some narrations say 7, some narrations say much more than that. So that's what happens here. فَرَدَّدَ مِرَارًا Radda, he kept going back, Ya Rasulullah, give me more. Tell me again. Awsini. Awsini. Okay, Ya Rasul, Awsini. You know, there's a couple of things here. Number one, you know, we talked about asking and over asking in terms of just general things, right? When you're asking too much. This hadith does not give us a limit of how many times this man has asked the same question. Do you see anywhere in the hadith the Prophet ﷺ says, okay, this is the last time I'm going to tell you this, now go. Okay, we're done here. No. So it's possible that this man could have sat there and asked 10 times, and the Prophet ﷺ answered 10 times. And that is exactly what, not just a leader, but people who carry Iman, all of you are able, and that is exactly what you should do. Your Iman, part of the qualities of Iman is that it causes you to taste a level of tolerance and patience that otherwise somebody without Iman can never achieve. Someone without Iman. So it's something like this. You know, sometimes if non-Muslims will ask you, like, you pray 5 times a day? 5? That's crazy. And one of them is like before sunset? I'm like in my dream, I'm on cloud 9, I'm gone somewhere in my dream, and you guys are up praying? That's so insane. That's crazy. And a simple response to that is, that's what Iman does. Just Iman causes you to achieve and become and discover qualities in you you would have never ever known or seen or discovered. So to be able to control and be patient with this individual coming back all the time, this is a part of Iman. You should try your very best in general to tolerate that. Now, I know that some people can certainly, without a doubt, be annoying. Like they just want to just, yeah, assalamu alaikum. What's the ruling on the color of this wall? You know, what's the ruling on walking from here to my car? Like just ask really bizarre, strange. I get it. But the general rule of thumb is, again, you try to deal with those situations, no matter how repetitive it is, with just some basic patience, kindness, all of that in the same hadith. The Prophet ﷺ kept answering, La taghdab, la taghdab, la taghdab. That is the end. This hadith is the only one like it when it comes to anger. We don't have another hadith even remotely close to this. That a man comes to him, asks the same question. Now this question has been asked to him ﷺ in other ahadith, but this is the only one where he gives this response to this one companion or this one individual, and he does it repeatedly. All the other hadith that are similar to this will mention other things, like, okay, be patient, hold steadfast to your faith or your iman, pray, ensure that you pray on time. But it's mentioned once and the hadith moves on. So there's a couple of things. Prophet ﷺ once said, so now we're just going to talk very briefly about how we control anger, okay? There are some of the standard things that all of you, I'm sure, know. Like before we go through this hadith, tell me some of the standard things that Islam teaches us to control our anger, okay?
If you're standing, to sit down, and if you're sitting down, to lay down.
Okay, so change your position. Okay, very good. drink something, right? Water, grab a Pepsi, whatever, even if you're on a diet, it's just for that moment. Do something, okay? Anything else? Go ahead. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay. Anything else? Say again. Take a deep breath, pause, relax. Don't say anything. Remove yourself from the situation, right? Why is it? So here's my follow-up then. Like, does that happen, like, often when somebody's in the heat of the moment and let's just, the typical one, okay? The husband and wife are just going at each other, right? Do either of them pause and say, you know what? Say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, stop. And he looks at her like, okay, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, No, not like that. Or if she decides, you know what? You're out of control. I'm just going to walk out of here. You're not going anywhere. What are you doing? Why doesn't it happen? All the answers you've given are 100%. They are from our deen. Why that more often that is not the case, but instead things happen that for the most of the time it's unfortunate, it's remorseful. Why? So maybe our shaitan is strong. Okay, shaitan is definitely there. Okay, so I guess we can just blame him. Listen, I'm sorry, I broke your favorite computer. I know it's the third one, but it's actually shaitan that broke all three. He just got in me and he just made me do it. So go blame him. Why doesn't it happen? We have such amazing tools. Here's one reason why. You see, I don't like when we talk about issues like this, I don't like to pause at the standard answers that we've been taught and sort of develop this kind of superficial approach to these things. When you're angry and you're at the state of ghadab, that is like a ball of lava in your heart. Like, it is powerful. It controls you. And it's impossible for a lot that they can't control themselves when they reach to that point. It's just so much that they want to say and so much they want to do. The first thing that should happen is that you remind yourself, like your heart should remind yourself, this is wrong, so stop. Like, how we all have that little voice that talks to us? Good times, the bad times, when we're sad, when we're happy, there's that voice in us that just talks to you. You want to punch the table. You want to say it to him or her, but you pause and you're like, Allah's watching me. Okay, I can't. Somebody cut you off the road. You want to do it back to them. And you're like, just let it go. Allah's watching. You do this, 80% of the anger disappears. Now, it may take some more time for you to put it behind you. That takes time. For some people, they can't let go of those moments right away. It takes them hours. Sometimes it takes them weeks and months. Some people get stuck with it for years. I remember 2 years ago, you got me so upset. You hurt me so, I'll never forget that. That kind of response. If you have emotional scars like that, that's a different issue. This here, we're talking about day-to-day anger that people, they lose control of themselves. We have all of these great things of perform wudu, say the isti'adha, get out of that situation, change your position, and. It's hard for you to say to yourself, you know what? I want to say it, but I'm going to go make wudu right now. It doesn't sound like a natural way of dealing with anger. So my point here is this. There are some preliminary things that have to happen before these things can work. So number one, you've got to tell yourself to just stop. Whatever it is that you feel that you want to say or do in a state of ghadab, to tell yourself to just stop. Number two, you remind or at least take a moment and say to yourself, you don't have to literally say it, but have that voice say to you, I'm Muslim. Like, I can't act this way. I can't talk this way. I can't behave this way. I'm Muslim. Then all of the isti'adha and the wudu and all of these things, they start to extinguish that, emotional fire Just put it out, and gradually and gradually. And you do this enough, then you arrive at a point that the next time ghadab is tested, you know exactly what, that's how you find some people, they like smile. Person's like cursing at their face, just smile. You done? Okay. Bye. And just walk away. And they can go and have coffee after. Like, it just put it behind them. My point here is Iman is your strongest tool to control ghadab. Once you have it, you have the strongest tool. Without it, none of the things that you mention will work. This hadith, take a look at it. Prophet ﷺ says, I know a phrase which if he repeated, he could get rid of this anger feeling. Do you notice? The hadith highlights what? This. That same ball of fire. There's a weak hadith that our Prophet ﷺ describes that that's what anger is. Like, it is like this burning sensation, almost like a ball of fire. But like I said, it is a weak hadith found in, I believe it's in At-Tirmidhi. Anyhow, so this angry feeling. They asked, what is it? The Messenger ﷺ says, I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Having said that, that doesn't mean that after all the things I mentioned to you, that you should put this at the third or the fourth or the last option. No, you should still continue to practice what you know to control anger. This hadith, its core lesson is very simple. Anger leads to damage. Damage in you, damage in others, damage in life. It breaks you down. It destroys everything it touches. That's what anger does. So that is why the Prophet ﷺ continued to advise this man. The advice, the man asked the Prophet ﷺ, and he repeated this simple counsel. And he did this several times. Number 2, anger is the root of evil. This hadith also helps us to understand it is the gateway to all bad qualities. Number 3, self-control and discipline. The repetition of the advice underscores the importance of emotional discipline and self-control, even when provoked. Any questions about anger? Here are some preventative measures. We talked about quite a few of them, right? Practical strategies for managing anger are the following. So the isti'adha. Yeah, go ahead.
Would it be fair to say it has to do with your personality too? Because some people wouldn't get upset if something is said to them, but for someone else,
Yeah.
it will.
See, it's a good question. Some things get some people angry, while others will be like, why are you angry for that? Like, I hear that all the time. I go through that all the time. Why are you freaking out? That's very inappropriate to say to anybody. Because you don't know what someone, as you mentioned, you don't know what their life experiences have been. You don't know their home, their culture, how they were raised. What might be major or trivial to you is not the same for them. The little things that you were able to just brush by are still major for the other person. So it's an awful thing to make that assumption about anyone. So does culture and background and how you were raised, people you surround yourselves with, does that have an influence on how anger is manifested and how you control it? Absolutely. 100%. If you are around good people, people that are conscious, people that are patient, and people who have control over their anger, it is just natural. It's the consequence of being around good people that you also become good. It has never happened in the history of mankind where you surround yourself with a group and you become the complete opposite of them. The influence is inevitable. You eventually start to peel off those qualities and they become embedded in you. So being around good people who have patience and control is also a great measure to protect yourself from losing control. Yep.
Yeah, like you said, in some cultures, walking away when some person is angry is considered very rude.
Yeah.
Staying silent at the time is considered super rude.
Yes.
Because I had practiced this, but it always ends up super bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I mean, those are more or less cultural sensitivity, and we should all respect that. It's more along the lines of, you know, because it's a cultural thing, and me practicing it and respecting it doesn't impede on my religion at all. It doesn't have an effect on my deen. Then that is perfectly okay. If people get offended because you walk away from them, then you remaining and trying to avoid doing that has no impeachment on your deen. Like, it doesn't affect your deen in any way. It's more of a courtesy. It's more about respecting the culture, and you should absolutely do that. Right? I travel everywhere, and I have the same issue as well. Right? And sometimes when I go to like certain countries, yeah, I will have to be, I guess you could say, debriefed before I start teaching. Okay, Sheikh, you need to like, okay, don't go, if you're going to talk to the sisters, don't stand right in front of them. It's considered really disrespectful and awkward. Stand next to them this way. And then when you talk to the brothers, if somebody's, talking to you, you should look at them in the eyes. Don't look away like this, because it's totally, they think that you don't care. And so these little things that are not a big deal for me, you can respect them, because it only brings you closer, not only to the deen, but it continues to at least preserve some sense of brotherhood in the deen, okay? Change your posture, okay? Developing good qualities, the hadith encourages adopting, okay, we talked a lot about this. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a hadith about those who avoid arguments, the special reward?
Yes, this is a hadith that is found in the Sunan of Abi Dawud. It is the only hadith like this, that a person who remains silent, that they are being blamed and they are being stamped, it's their fault, they've done wrong. But they know 100% that they were in the right. But they choose to remain silent in order not to escalate the situation any further. Allah promises them that He will build a mansion for them in the dead center of Jannah, because they chose to remain silent even though they were in the right. So just imagine, you're being blamed for it. I know it was you, you're the one, and you know 100% that you didn't say it, you didn't do it, you didn't trigger it, you didn't cause it, but you don't want to break the relationship. Like, this is your brother, or this is your sister, or this is your cousin, or this is your best friend. This is your colleague. This is somebody you knew for ages. This is your neighbor. So you kind of just swallow the fault and just take it. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I get it. It's fine. No problem. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Being deep down in heart, you didn't do anything wrong. Allah is a witness. One of the blessings in return. And why is it that this mansion is built in the center of Jannah, students? Why? Why in the center? Why not have like a corner lot somewhere? Or like a back street somewhere in Jannah? Why in the dead center? Well, in essence, no matter where you are in Jannah, it is always going to be prime real estate, right? But why emphasize in the hadith that they will be in the dead center of Jannah? When somebody is in the middle, and all the neighbors and houses and everybody is around, everybody knows who's in the center? Yeah. There's a good chance that everyone can see whose house is that, right in the middle there. So it's not only because it's prime real estate, but it's an honor that everyone in Jannah will recognize and show love, because this person swallowed their pride, swallowed their anger, took the fall, took the blame, took the heat, took it all for the sake of peace. That is a shut-off. That is an honor that everyone in Jannah, some of our scholars say even the animals of Jannah, will show love and respect to these people whose homes are in the center. Like, even birds will come and chirp and sing for them as they please. All that they wish for, whom they ask to see and to be with, will be granted them. All because of what? They took the blame. And they were 100% not at fault. Let me tell you something. This is not like a hadith or an ayah or anything. This is just more or less experience, right? And that is, if you are able to take the fault from time to time, and it won't affect your way of life or anything like that, right? It doesn't put you in a difficult situation, but you just swallow your pride, you swallow, this is the truth, but you don't want to escalate it further, and you just take it. Yeah, it was me, fine. Just blame me, I don't care. It's okay. And you move on from it. I have never ever known or met someone who did not experience the barakah and blessing in their life in this world as a result of that. Like they saw something good afterwards. They experienced something, like they were rewarded in some way, right? Because they just took the fault. So I strongly believe that you will also see the barakah and benefits of that even in this world, right? Perhaps Allah will increase and reinforce your patience at a level you know, like everyone else recognizes, everyone else sees it. And it's like, subhanallah, man, you are my inspiration. Perhaps Allah will do that for you. So this is a big deal. Anger destroys everything it touches. So if you are able to diffuse it by taking some of the blame, that is also a great deal in the sight of Allah. Okay, let's move on. عن أبي على الشداد بن أوس رضي الله عنه قال okay قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال okay إن الله I'm sorry, I don't think this is very clear, is it? Yeah, it's a little blurry. إن الله كتب الإحسان على كل شيء. Pause. We talked about ihsan, didn't we? What did we say about ihsan? So let's take the first part of this hadith, okay? First part of this hadith, our Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, verily Allah has prescribed ihsan, perfection in all things. What does that mean? In all things. It should be obvious, okay? And for those of you that may not, were not here for this lesson, just a quick recap. What is ihsan? How is ihsan defined? Okay, perfection. Good. Good. Doing more than what is required, right? Anything else? Good. And what does that mean when we say you worship Allah as though you see Him? Even though you can't see Him, He sees you. What does that mean? Pray and live your life that you are always conscious of Allah. So when we say that you pray, or you practice or live your life as though as though you see Him, meaning you are constantly conscious of Allah, His awareness. He's watching you, He's monitoring you. There's 24-hour-a-day surveillance from the sky. Now, there are some scholars who gave very specific definitions to ihsan, and there are literally more than a dozen of them. All of them in essence sort of complement each other, but one that I really like is Al-Imam Al-Asfahani, rahimahullah, who was a great scholar of tafsir and the Arabic language. And he mentioned that ihsan is that when you go above what is required, expecting equal or less in return. So you go above and beyond in whatever you are asked or expected to do, you go above and beyond that. So let's just say I say to you, next week we're going to have a pizza day. Okay? We're going to have, all of us are going to have pizza. And it's going to be sponsored by a student in the class. And you come in next week and you're expecting just pizza, correct? That's all. That's what we said. It's just going to be pizza. Well, when you come inside, you see not only pizza, but you see nice desserts, you see some tea, you see snacks, you see a lot more than pizza. That's ihsan. And the one who decided to sponsor all of that is not saying, well, you know, guys, I went the extra mile. I'm taking donations if you don't mind. Like, you know, this wasn't cheap. No. Just like I just wanted to do it. I know I said pizza, but we need dessert as well. We need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's ihsan. When you have the bare minimum, but you strive to go above and beyond that, and the return is also important. You expect at least maybe something equal or less. The definition does not stop there. Imam Al-Asfahani continues and he says, so you expect equal or less. However, if you receive nothing, you are content. So if you don't get a thank you, you don't get the invite in return. So let's say you invited them and treated them so well, but you never get it back in return. Nothing. you're still content. You're grateful to Allah that you had the opportunity to do that, and your reward rests with Allah, and you leave it at that. That's ihsan. So it's an incredibly important concept, and really and truly, there is no such thing, and that's why Allah says in the Quran, "Hal jazaa'ul ihsani illa al-ihsan." Is there a reward for ihsan except? That's what you get, ihsan. Meaning, is there a reward for the person who's striving for perfection except that they will attain the highest level of iman? That's what you're getting. In other words, if you're striving for ihsan, you're not going to get anything else. You're going to get ihsan. You're not going to get, okay, you know what, you'll get just a little bit here. You'll only find ihsan on Jumu'ah day. You'll only find ihsan in Ramadan. You'll only find ihsan when you're doing Umrah. No. You're going to find ihsan when you go to work, when you go to school, when you're eating, when you're at class, when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're down, when you're happy. Every moment you see ihsan everywhere. You can control your anger, but you can also help to control the anger of the people around you too. You know how to diffuse and calm a situation. So once you calm yourself, you know how to, like, okay, guys, just stop. We're not going to continue this conversation until you guys calm down. You know how to extend and not just be like, I was calm, but they were all just killing each other, so I just waited till they were done. You don't do that. Ihsan. You try to help and go above and beyond. You don't have to help nobody, but you choose to do so. So this is what the hadith begins with. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the opportunity for you and I to achieve ihsan in all things. What I love about the hadith is that it's not restricted to just Islamic rituals and Islamic things, just in life. Now, however, take a look at what happens next. Then the hadith continues and it says, فَإِذَا قَتَلْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الْقِتْلَ. So, let's repeat after me, yeah? فَإِذَا قَتَلْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الْقِتْلَةَ. Okay. So, and if then you kill, then you kill well. What is this talking about? And if you slaughter well. Meaning that any of this, whether it comes to, sacrifice, or you're, going to sacrifice or slaughter a chicken or cow or something, to do it quickly and do it as humanely as possible. You ever watch those cooking shows when they bring out a lobster or something? Some people, they just take the lobster, its still legs are all moving, just throw it in the pot. Others will be like, okay, well, here's where the core is. This is the center. This is where you want to, strike it. And it is the simplest, quickest, and most humane way for the animal to die. That's the sunnah. We don't allow anything to suffer. We don't allow at all. Nothing. Yep.
Is this referring only to slaughtering animals?
It also refers to even capital punishment. Yeah. That the process should be done swiftly, as comfortably, and as easy as possible. So that's why you have some of the some parts of the United States when they have a capital punishment by lethal injection. So you're literally just lying down. An injection takes place. They pump in certain things to you, but you don't start like how you see in the movies. You just want to grab things or throw it and get out of control. You peacefully and calmly, literally as if you go to sleep and it's over. So the whole point of this hadith is to avoid suffering as much as possible. Any amount of suffering, not only is it haram and sinful, but it also could be a reason that all of our good deeds are wiped away and that person will go straight to Jahannam. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Let me give you an example. Have you heard about the woman? This hadith is narrated in At-Tirmidhi, where there was a woman, and some of the scholars differ on the authenticity of it. However, it's a very long hadith, but in a nutshell, there was a woman that had a cat, right? And you know the rest, what she used to do with this cat. She used to beat the cat, starve it, torture it, pick it up, throw it against the wall, lock it in rooms. It used to do everything possible except to kill it. just torture it day and night. And that cat alone was the reason that she was destined for the hellfire. Now a dog, the opposite, you all know the hadith, right? The dog he had his wulugh, his tongue, like this, dying, just wanting something to drink. What did the companion do? Or the man did? Pulled up some water from the well, put it in his shoe, gave the dog to and quenched his thirst, and as a result, that man goes to Jannah. I thought dogs are haram though. It was a woman. Okay, pardon me. But are we allowed to do that with dogs? I thought dogs are like haram, you can't like touch them and stuff. I'm serious though, like, none of you can say you haven't been around a dog. Because there's dogs everywhere, right? People walking their dogs, neighbors have their dogs, right? So what if a dog comes up to you and just wants to like, what kind of itr do you have? I don't know, right? And it kind of come near you. Can you touch it? Can you pet a dog? You can pet a dog, you can handle a dog, you can pick it up, you can hug it, you can nurture it, you can do everything you can. Just what is the rule of thumb? Listen, for a long time, these kinds of issues, we've become so extreme. Literally, there is a culture around dogs and pigs as we literally literally treat them like they are shayateen themselves, right? A pig is a pig. All we are told is don't consume it. It's still an animal. We can't torture it. We can't just go to a farm and like, oh, if I only had a rock. No, you can't do that. It's an animal. Like you still have to show mercy. And if a pig is slaughtered, it should still be slaughtered in such a way that it's as quickly and swiftly as possible. Well, that's besides the point. Coming back to a dog, the Prophet ﷺ warned us about what? Its tongue. And if that tongue was to do what? Eat from the same plate or the same bowl, what to do with it? Wash it 7 times, once with dirt. Please don't go in your backyard and grab dirt and start doing dishes. The hadith, what it's saying is that it should be washed thoroughly. So now we have dishwashing liquids, we have all kinds of other things that can disinfect. You have water accessible. If you have a dishwashing machine, that is sufficient. It fulfills the entire hadith. In other words, don't just throw some water, rinse it out, and then start eating from it. No, put it through a cycle or a process. That's what the hadith is talking about. And I've met Muslims over the year like, yeah, I always keep like a bowl of dirt because my neighbor's dog comes by and so we'll eat from our stuff. So I just make sure, and I'm sitting there and scrub away with soil I bought from Home Depot or something, and just, no, that's not what it's about. But like I said, and I'll tell you one more thing, okay? Dogs are some of the most remarkable animals on this planet. Absolutely some of the most remarkable creatures. Wallahi, if you haven't done this, watch a documentary on dogs in terms of their behavior, their commitment, their love for their owners, their commitment if they're trained to do a job, whether to walk you, to protect you, and they will literally lay their life down for you if they see you struggle in any way, shape, or form. They are truly, truly some of the most remarkable creatures. That is why Islam does allow you to have dogs in certain scenarios, right? So if you need a guard dog these days, that's a good idea. Considering all the home invasions and crime and things, it's a good idea to have a guard dog. Sometimes you may see them in the mall where you have like a dog that sort of like helps the blind and you can have a dog in the house, but it has to be separate from living quarters, right? I don't want us to be more religious than the Prophet, okay? When we say in the house, I don't mean the dog is going to sit next to you and watch Netflix with you, right? They have their own separate quarters where a dog resides, and it's separate from the rest of the home. There are people who have quarters. I've seen them, right? I've seen them. They'll have like a dog house, but it's attached to their garage. And it's filled with heating. It's got food in there. Like everything is comfortable for the dog. That is all absolutely fine. The hadith about the dog, that if you have a dog in your house, angels won't enter. Literally a dog in your living room, in your bedroom, in your house which you walk and reside and pray in. That's where you shouldn't have them. Do you understand? Right? Don't be more religious than the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? Yeah.
Sorry, how about the karat of good deeds being lost every day if you keep a dog?
That is outside of the reasons that you're allowed to. So if you have a dog and you keep it as just like a pet and it roams around in your house, that's where these ahadith apply to. Right? But yeah. As long as they're safe and you provide all the things that they need to live a normal life, they are remarkable creatures. Anyhow, and if you slaughter well. Let each one of you sharpen his blade. So the hadith continues and it says, وَلْيُحِدَنَّ أَحَدُكُمْ سَفْرَتُهُ وَلْيُبْرِحْ ذَبِيحَتَهُ. Okay, so let each one of you sharpen his blade. So now the Prophet ﷺ is going to explain to you this whole process. What is this sharpening of the blade? And let him spare suffering to the animal he slaughters. What's the sharpening of the blade all about? So that the process can be quick and easy, right? It is said, however, that when an animal is sacrificed for the sake of Allah, so whether it's done by the dhabiha, or so you're going to consume the animal, or it's done as a qurbani, you're going to give it away, whatever the case is, it is said, and Allah knows best, that the animal experiences little to zero pain. And that reaction that you see when the muscles start to contract and so on is just a natural process of this animal. Slowly and gradually, all the blood starts to flow out, and whatever this process is, it's all animals do that at the end of the day. So it's interesting. And to have ahadith that are so meticulous about these details is remarkable to me. Very quickly, what is the sunnah way of slaughtering? So we have a knife, obviously. Can you have like a machine? Like, you have those like automatic knives. Can you use those as well? You can, but you should try to use an actual blade. Why? The machine is disliked. You should try to avoid doing it. Very quickly, why? Wouldn't it be more efficient and easier and so on and faster? Why is it disliked? No, not necessarily. Let's say you have an electric machine, an electric knife, right? Let's say like you're just doing a sacrifice, on your own. Okay, so you have a farm or whatever, and you're just doing it by yourself, not in a factory or anywhere else. Why is it disliked for you to use a machine? Because you can't control it. It could shortage. It could stop. It could, malfunction. You set it at the slowest speed, and as soon as you set it at the fastest speed, and as soon as it touches the animal, it malfunctions and it goes at the slowest speed, or it gets stuck. You have no control, and that's the whole idea of the sacrifice. You have to maintain control of it. So that is why to have an actual blade, that is the closest way towards how the Prophet ﷺ urged. And the little things as well, right? Like, should the animal see the blade? No, it should be hidden, literally hidden, right? So, and you lay the animal on its right if it's able to do so. You ensure the animal doesn't have any health defects and other things. So you put it through a process that once it's approved, it's safe to consume. You lay the animal on its right. You try your best to allow the animal to face towards the Qibla. And you say what? What do you recite? Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Right? Okay, go ahead. What is sunnah? Yes. So there are certain things that must be done, and there are certain things that, if you can, it's better. But if you don't, it's not like you're not punished by Allah or anything of that nature. Yeah. So the fard is definitely the utensil, the knife that's used has to be a knife, as we said here, has to be clean. When I say clean, let's say if somebody is sacrificing multiple animals, it should be clean between each of them. So once you've done one, A blade should be disinfected or whatever process it needs to go through. Next one should be sharp. The animal should not see it. These are all things that are fought. And in the three jugular veins, or I forget the name, there are three main veins that have to be cut all at the same time and done swiftly. And then when the animal starts to it starts to shake and it starts to have that muscle contraction. Some, unfortunately, would like put their foot on the animal to sort of calm it down. The general rule of thumb is that you should treat the animal as though it was still alive. So try to calm it down. Just put your hand, get on the floor. And if you can't, then stop sacrificing. Give it to somebody else, right? And just get on the floor and try to calm the animal. SubhanAllah, these are real creatures. These are real life animals. So... And then, some of the sunnah things is that once it's done, how you skin the animal, how you prep the meat and so on, and dividing it into three separate groups. Those are some of the sunnah things that you do with the animal. Yeah.
Sorry, one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is the company like the beef, is it halal?
So you're talking about dhabiha in general?
No, like the company's dhabiha halal.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a question. I used to be involved in it a lot. I haven't been in a few years. It's, so if you really want a precise answer, it would require me to just do a little bit of research and call a few people that I know. I do know members of the board that approve halal meats for Maple Lodge, Zabiha as well, and a few others as well. I know some people that are on the board. So they do have a system that's reliable of actual shuyukh and scholars that are there to ensure the process is done the best way and Islamically as possible, right? And there are certificates and approvals that are provided, documents to certify that these things were done correctly. So rest assured, a general answer to you is yes, they are absolutely halal. But if you want something more reassuring, that would require for me to just take some time to do that, okay? You had a question? Yeah.
Okay, so this is specifically for animals that you're slaughtering, say, to eat or so. But if it's something that's venomous, like snakes or something that is actually going to harm you,
Yeah.
then how do you...
These are great questions, right? If a snake happens to show up in front of you, do you not show it the knife? It's listen, I'll wait till the snake puts that tongue away and its venom and just calm down. No. When you're being attacked, your life is at risk, the rules all change, right? And basically it just boils down to one rule. And that is you, of course, do what you need to do to ensure your livelihood, protect yourself and your family and your children, right? You asked that question and it reminds me of me being a student in Medina. It's very common for us to have iguanas and scorpions and snakes crawling in your bed and in your pillow and all of that. So yeah, we've had to kill a few snakes in our days and kill a few scorpions. These were massive black scorpions. I don't even know where they come from. There was a time I literally, because I was so lost and I had this big, massive black scorpion on my floor and I started talking to it. I was like, what are you doing here in the desert? Sir, how'd you arrive here? SubhanAllah. I understand if you were in Australia or Singapore or something, where there's more, it flourishes more with life and plants and other things, but yeah, you can certainly protect yourself. Quickly, if you see a spider in your house, can you kill it? What about the Prophet ﷺ? Did a spider save his life? This is a common question I get, subhanAllah. How dare you kill a spider? So if you see a nice, juicy tarantula on your wall, I'm slaughtering that thing in 100 pieces. The reason too is that, just all jokes aside, these insects and animals like snakes and so on, they are not supposed to be in the home. So that's the whole idea. The idea is not to like target practice and just kill as many as possible. The idea is that you just want them out and away from your home. If they're coming on your property, if you have animals, like I have some students in other parts of the world, like in Australia, that would ask me these things about like, I own a flock of sheep. I have 24 sheep that roam around in this fenced area, but every now and then a wolf comes in and devours one. Can I shoot the wolf? Right? So the answer is something else, though. I probably shouldn't say, but let's just say you protect your flock. Put it that way, right? Let's finish up here. I'll just introduce this hadith because it's fairly long, and then we'll pause, inshallah. Okay. Our Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam once said, اتق الله حيثما كنت. Okay, so everyone after me. رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع السيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. One of my most favorite. It's a beautiful hadith. Memorize this hadith if you haven't, okay? Prophet ﷺ tells us to be three pieces of advice. Be conscious of Allah wherever you are. حيثما كنت is the key wording of this, is the extension in this hadith. وَأَتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُوهَا. Then follow the bad deed with a good one to erase it. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسِ بِخُلُقِ الْحَسَنِ. And engage others with beautiful character. These are three pieces of advice for life. What exactly do they entail? How can we implement it? What are they talking about? So on and so forth. That's what we will continue with, inshallah, next week. Okay, students? Jazakallahu khairan wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.